Pretty Dece, here we go. Facebook.com/Pretty D Show. It's time to geek out with Josh, your host.
What's up, everybody? I'm Josh Meek, the Uber Geek. Welcome to Pretty Dece, the short show about movies, comics, games, and all the pop culture in between. And today on the show, we are talking about movies because the trailer for Jumanji: The Next Level just came out. And this is a film that I'm pretty excited about. So this is the sequel to Jumanji: Welcome to the Jungle, which came out in 2017 around Christmas that year. And it was the remake, quote unquote, of Jumanji, which of course is the beloved film about getting transported into a board game from our childhood, if you are around my age. And a lot of people kind of rolled their eyes when they heard originally that Jumanji was getting remade, especially when they found out who was in it. So starring in Welcome to the Jungle was Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson and Kevin Hart as kind of the two main stars there. And what the movie turned out to be was not really a remake of Jumanji. They took the name and kind of the general premise of you're trapped in the game, and they remixed it. And for me at least, that movie worked really, really well. I liked that they turned it into a video game instead of a board game that let them give you lives, so they were able to kill characters a couple times and let you come back with more lives. And they did this Freaky Friday aspect of it as well, which went a really long way for comedy. So when you got transported into the game, obviously you pick a character, like in most video games. So the premise of the entire movie was that the kids, the teenagers that you saw originally at the start of the film, were transported into the bodies of their characters, who happened to be The Rock and Kevin Hart and Jack Black. And that was great. It was very, very funny watching a teenage girl pretend to be one of those guys and so on. It was great. You know, the movie wasn't Citizen Kane, but I thoroughly enjoyed my time with it. And I came out of that movie thinking like, man, they did a really good job with like taking the spirit of Jumanji and morphing it into something new. And I think that's what more remakes should be like. If they want to bank on the name, that's fine. That gets people in the door, but then come up with something kind of new and original. And this sequel, I was wondering how they were going to go about a sequel to this new Jumanji. And this trailer gives us a little hint of that, and I love the direction that they're going. So one of the coolest parts of the first movie was that Freaky Friday aspect that I talked about, where one character is in another character's body, and that's continuing now with the teenagers showing back up looking for their friend Spencer, who's been transported into the Jumanji game once again. But this time going into the game with him is Spencer's grandfather, played by Danny DeVito, and his friend Milo Walker, who's played by Danny Glover. They get transported into the game and become The Rock and Kevin Hart. So instead of doing teenager impressions like in the first movie, The Rock and Kevin Hart are now doing a Danny DeVito and Danny Glover impression, respectively. And turns out I could watch that for 2 hours. With from the trailer, the little bits of those two doing those impressions are incredibly funny. Just give me 2 hours of that. I don't really care what the rest of the movie is. That sounds fantastic. And the other characters are mixed up a little bit too, as far as who they came into the game as. But really, really great twist on the premise. Obviously, you have to go back into Jumanji with this sequel. But they took what was great about their first concept and figured out how to remix it. And really coolly using the same actors, but getting them to do an entirely different performance, which looks to be absolutely hilarious. So obviously this movie comes out in Christmas. We'll see a trailer or two more of the film before then. But as it stands right now, I am pretty darn excited about Jumanji: The Next Level. So that's going to do it for Pretty Dece for today. Thank you very much for joining me to talk about Jumanji: Welcome to the Jungle. I'd love to know if you guys liked the first film or are excited about this trailer, because I know a lot of people turned it off entirely because it was Jumanji and they were remaking Jumanji, and how dare you. But I'd like to know if you thought it was fun or not. So let me know. I would love to hear your thoughts after you listen to this episode. If you want to check out all the past episodes of Pretty Dece, you can head on over to prettydeceshow.com to find those. Of course, hit me up on the YouTube channel as well. That is youtube.com/prettydece. And you can find me on social media, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Pretty Dece Show.